Need you to be looking out for Kiely and Kiely's car. Is anybody willing to go to Reno and maybe Midtown? Yeah, perfect.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. This is part 2 of Kiely Rodni's Suspicious Friends. Yesterday, we looked at Jagger and Kate. Today, I'm going to focus on Sami Smith. Sami, who inserted herself into this case very, very early on as one of the search coordinators.
This will be the search group over here.
Sami Smith was at the party with Kiely and is one of the search coordinators. What time did you last see her?
The last time I saw Kiely was around 12:25 in the morning of the party. I was leaving and I gave her a hug, telling her I loved her and goodbye, and for her to get home safe or be safe.
Do you think that your friend was abducted?
I think there's a definite chance of it.
Mags Larson is another of Kiely's friends who was at the party.
I need her to come home and I need us to find her.
This is a voiceover. I took some footage of the dogs this morning, of Cassie and Tilly, just in case you were missing them. But this is a voiceover because I've got some interviews to show you and I've got an article to show you. Before we get into Sami, it's the article I want to turn to. Check this out. Jennifer Coffendaffer, who is a retired FBI agent. I know a lot of you will follow Jennifer, and she's well respected. She's on a lot of news media. I always value her opinion. And she shared an article from the US Sun. She says, "We will have to wait months for Kiely Rodni's autopsy results, although law enforcement has the results in their possession. They expect the investigation, review and redaction process to be complete by November the 1st of this year. The needle just crept a few more notches to the right." I don't know what she means by that, but here's the article. Now, I know some channels have reported on this already. Plunder's done a video on this, but I want to give you my opinion here. So, Lake Mystery. Kiely Rodni's autopsy results may not be released for 2 months after Diver, so that's Adventures with Purpose, who found Kiely, claimed it was suspicious. Police say they are in possession of autopsy results following the death of 16-year-old Kiely Rodni, but may not release them for another 2 months amidst their ongoing investigation. The US Sun officially requested the cause of death from the Nevada County Sheriff's Office after Kiely's body was found in the back of her submerged car in Prosser Creek Reservoir last month. And there's Nick coming up from the dive. There's Kiely's submerged vehicle. The teen disappeared around 12:30 a.m. on August 6 near the Prosser Family Campground in Truckee, California, following a wild party attended by around 300 people. Law enforcement are saying that it was probably closer to 400 people. They've claimed that they've interviewed 400 people, so that's a lot of people to interview. Authorities, including Placer County Sheriff's Office and the FBI, put in thousands of man-hours after searching for Kiely but couldn't locate her until volunteer divers, Adventures with Purpose, travelled to the area to help. Her family is eagerly awaiting the results of the autopsy and toxicology tests, but it could be months before they are released as divers speculate whether her death was an accident or not. In a statement, police told the US Sun the Nevada County Sheriff's Office does have possession of records responsive to your request. It should be noticed, however, that the investigation is not complete and is considered ongoing at this time. Once the investigation is complete, the release will be pursuant to all privileges and or exemptions that may apply. We expect the investigation, review and redaction process to be complete by November 1, 2022. They added that if the records are still not available in 2 months, they will further advise the media of a new date it may be released. When pressed further on the timeframe, a spokesman said, "The toxicology report, which has not come back yet, will be included with the entirety of what we will release when the investigation is complete and the records are ready for release." They added, "Death investigators have varying investigative time components depending on the circumstances surrounding the investigation. It's not uncommon for final coroner reports to take 2 to 3 months to be ready for public release." The US Sun reached out to Kiely's family regarding the autopsy and the teen's funeral after it was announced a local celebration of life will take place on September the 10th. Linda Lucetti, who has been speaking on behalf of Kiely's family, said, No news on cause of death, funeral, body being released, toxicology, etc. She added, all that will come from the Sheriff's Department and the coroner, when they are ready, I guess. Authorities are yet to confirm or deny whether they suspect foul play and did not respond to further questions. On August 21st, volunteer dive team Adventure with Purpose claimed in a Facebook post that they found Kiely's car submerged in an area of Prosser Creek Reservoir. Authorities insisted that they'd already searched the area of water, but the expert team had updated technology and better skill set and were able to locate her within hours. Well, it was in 35 minutes, actually. It was later revealed Kiely's body was located in the back of her vehicle, so the back in the hatch, and the video showing the discovery of her silver 2013 Honda CR-V has since been shared on YouTube. The six-man team from Oregon speculated whether or not foul play was involved during the footage released this month, which is titled How We Found Kiely Rodni, Murder or Accident. She was in the back of the vehicle, diver Nick Rinn can be heard saying in emotional video after the team used sonar technology to locate her underwater. She's not in the driver's seat. It looks suspicious to me. The vehicle's upside down. Some of the one window halfway down, one window is all the way down. So we know that that window was actually busted out. It was broken out. Probably in the way that it landed eventually. I think that the passenger side front window that was busted out and that broken wing mirror, I think, is when the car rolled. I think the damage was done then. That's just my opinion. But the back driver's side window was actually rolled down. It wasn't broken, it was rolled down, kind of probably to as far as it went. Many who have followed the case have suspected someone else may have been involved, but police are yet to confirm they have spoken to anyone else they feel could be connected. One comment on the video on YouTube, I'm glad there are people like you trying to solve and bring closure to families. I feel for Nick, seeing his haunted eyes when he came back to the surface. I know a lot of people are suspecting foul play, and I think that is correct. She should have been able to get out through one side. They added, I hope they find the persons who have done this. Her family, who run the Lost Trail Lodge in Truckee, also posted a moving tribute along with sweet photographs on their business Instagram on Monday. It read, my sweet, sweet girl, my love, my heart, an ocean of grief that I will cry tear by tear for the rest of my life, or however long it takes to cry an ocean. Our fierce, brilliant muse, a ballad composed of joyous melody and sorrowful harmony. No sound will lay so sweet on our ear. No lyrics will ever dance so gracefully from our tongue. Hers was a song we know by heart. Hers was life, all of its own. Our very best memories, silly games and passionate arguments, tears and laughter, mistakes and honour. She will not fade away, for her brother, mother, two fathers, grandparents, aunties, uncles, cousins and dear friends will continue singing her song to each dawning day. The grieving family signed off. Good night, dear child. Sleep well. And that's very moving. So we're not going to get anything until at least November the 1st. We don't know. The family apparently don't know either. It's not unusual. Like the FBI have got to do their accident report and there'll be a full inquest. But preliminary results really should be released to the family. Maybe because it's a high-profile case, maybe they're keeping everything very close to the vest while the investigation's ongoing. My view is probably not suspecting a murder, because if they suspected that there was a murderer on the loose, killing young women, then they'd be obliged to report that to the public, surely. Like if there's someone was out there on the loose. But it doesn't mean to say that they're not suspecting another type of foul play. And I think it's that's the crux of the matter. So we now turn to Sami, who raised my suspicions very, very early on in this case. I was 50-50, accident, foul play. And then when Sami started talking, my dial moved. It moved very much towards foul play because Sami shot herself in the foot. Now, it's alleged, according to this post, allegedly by Sami's Instagram account. It looks like Sami's Instagram account. Some people say it's fake, some people say it's real. But she's got a criminal defence attorney. Why does she need that, we ask? Well, having an attorney, I think is probably a good idea at this point. If she's being suspected, then she needs an attorney. But she shot herself in the foot by making all these contradictory statements early on in the case, and that's what we're going to turn to right now.
You saw her at the party, right? You were at the party with her?
Yes, I was the last person to contact her after the party.
It now appears, though, that that is not true, that Sami was the last person to speak to Kiely. She said that she left at 12:25. That's what she told Inside Edition. But Kiely remained at the party. And if we're to believe the timeline that Sleuthy Goosey from Twitter is putting together, it seems that Elsa and Elsa's friends were actually the last people to see Kiely. According to this timeline, now there's no source, so we're having to believe what we're being told here, and I don't like that. But allegedly, coming from Elsa, who is a contemporary of Sami, they graduated from the same class. There is a video on YouTube of that graduation. Elsa was getting a lift from a friend, and that friend had room in his car and offered Kiely a ride, and she turned it down. And according to Elsa, Kiely went to her vehicle on her own. So Elsa is the last person to see Kiely, unless there's foul play involved and Kiely met someone else afterwards, which would fit with what tow truck guy, road assistance guy, said. Was Kiely really at Boca Reservoir on the Saturday morning? Is the question. Now, tow truck guy, as we know, I've discussed in several videos, so check back my previous videos from the last few days. He's convinced that it was Kiely's vehicle. A description of a young man fitting Jagger, but quite frankly, it could be any young man with brown hair and slim build and not quite as tall as 6'3", with a San Francisco cap on. Could be anybody, really, but fits the description of Jagger. Did Kiely meet Jagger? Did Kiely meet someone else who fits the description of Jagger? Or did something happen at the party and someone, a girl who looks similar to Kiely, drove away with her, perhaps dead, panicking that something had happened? We can only speculate. But looking at these early interviews from Sami makes you really think, why was Sami's story so contradictory?
And I was with her basically throughout the entire party. I was
No, it's okay.
walking
It's
around
okay.
with her.
I know you got a lot going on. I get it.
I'm at the teen-to-teen meetup, so there's a lot of
No,
kids outside.
Everybody's wanting to talk to you, and like I said, I greatly appreciate every minute I have with you.
Now, these teen team meetings really bothered me. When Sami came out with that, I was really concerned that she was encouraging teens who were at that party to speak to her, for her to vet the footage, for her to have kids be driven there by the parents, and the parents drive away as far away as possible so nothing could be heard. Is this the actions of somebody who wants to help, feels guilty that she left Kiely there at the party and then something bad happened to her? Or was this really a ploy to control the narrative, to see what people knew, to get people on their own, to get the story straight? I thought that as soon as I heard this, and Jagger had a go at that as well. You know, Jagger on his social media said that, you know, you could send tips to him, you could send information to him, he's working with the sheriff. And the sheriff said, no. But the sheriff didn't say the same to Sami. Sami stood up at one of the community meetings in front of all of the sheriffs and law enforcement who were, you know, on the case, talking about the teen meetings. They knew full well what she was doing. Now, whether they were just giving her rope, whether they were, you know, not suspecting foul play at the time even, and were just letting the teenagers, do what they wanted, and maybe they'd find some information that would help law enforcement. But I do think that was a mistake by law enforcement. I do. Now, apparently, they've spoken to everyone that was at the party, or perhaps almost everyone who was at the party, and they've got information. Just because virtually none of that has come out on social media doesn't mean to say that law enforcement don't have a lot of information. They might do at this point. They probably know a lot more than we do. And are they holding things back because they've heard things of fights and so on that went on at the party? We can only speculate, but it's well possible that there were things that went on that when Sami left, she wasn't aware of. She was trying to bring attention to her. She was enjoying the limelight, and, she was one of Kiely's best friends. We find out she wasn't, but that's what she was saying, because she wanted the attention, and there's nothing more to it. That if anything sinister happened, it happened after Sami left. But again, Sami's contradictory statements do raise eyebrows.
Mags ended up leaving about 10 minutes into the party with her boyfriend Ross, Mags's boyfriend.
Let's have a quick chat about Mags, who drove in with Kiely and then left 10 minutes later with her boyfriend Ross. Now, Mags seems genuinely upset on some interviews. Genuinely upset, crying her eyes out, much more emotional than Sami, who seemed to be enjoying what she was talking about. But not so Mags. I don't suspect Mags, personally. I don't. If she left, if she, was there just to meet her boyfriend and then they left together, then she's got nothing to do with this. And I don't suspect Mags. But she's there, she spoke out, so, we do have to look at her, don't we? But she's not on my radar, let's put it that way.
And, told Kiely goodbye and everything, and they were never planning on leaving together or staying together at the party. They just went to the party together because they were hanging out earlier in the day.
Actually, I'd like to know what Kiely was doing earlier in the day. Was she with Mags? Was she with Kate? Because in the interview that I played yesterday, when Jagger and Kate and possibly another friend thought Kiely was in Reno and was searching Reno, which was a town over the state line in Nevada, miles away from the party. Apparently, she was with Kate earlier on in the day, making creme brulee. So was Mags there as well? Was it Mags, Kate and Kiely? I'd like to know who Kiely was with. And can anybody corroborate Kate's story? Or was Kate making things up? Kate's on my radar simply because she looks like Kiely. So if Jagger and Kate, who weren't allegedly at the party at all, if they really were at the party, and it could be that they were the ones at Boca on Saturday morning in Kiely's car. But that is my speculation, simply based on their looks, which, perhaps isn't a great investigative tool, but still, it's there, and we've got to think about it. We do.
And then, I saw her the second she got there, and from that moment on, we were pretty much seen together all around the party. We would break off for mere moments from each other to go talk to other people or to go do other things, but we would always come back to each other. We were just going around the party. We were drinking the same drinks, being teenagers, throwing glow sticks into the party. And it started to grow really big, I would say around 10 to 10:30. It just blew up. It started to get to the point where I was getting overwhelmed. And I'm a very social person. I've been to a lot of these parties. I've never been overwhelmed. I've actually been underwhelmed. But at this party, it was very large. It was bigger than any party we've had in Truckee all year. And for a lot of years past, there were people from what we think Sacramento, San Francisco. I remember talking to somebody who was from San Francisco, Reno, Folsom, areas that were just way out of reach from it. And it was really overwhelming and weird to see, but I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, oh, kids are around here. They have vacation homes up here. They're just coming to party because why not? So then Kiely and I were going around taking shots and just drinking. We were trading drinks with each other. We were sharing drinks with each other. We would go back to her car to get some alcohol sometimes. And then we went to her car to charge her phone. And we were talking about just random stuff. And then it's kind of hard to remember. And so, or no, we were talking about her texting her mom and her charging her phone and stuff, and just about the party in general. And then we had a few other friends in the car, and then we all decided to go back to the party, and we were around in there for a bit. I had asked her for a ride home when we were in the car because my ride was leaving and I wanted to stay at the party longer. And so then we ended up splitting up in the party because I went to go find another ride when we got back into the party after leaving the car, so that we could sorry, my mind is in a moment.
No, that's okay.
For me, that's where Sammy's story started to get really concerning. That they went back to Kylie's car for more alcohol. Well, that's okay. Perhaps they were keeping alcohol in the cars for safekeeping. Kiely texted her mother about 11:30. So this going back to the car and talking about Kiely texting her mother must have been around that time. So they were in the car maybe 11:30. The other friends who were in the car, we don't know who they were. Were they Jagger and Kate, or were they two or more other friends? Did Kiely leave with one of those? Sami left Kiely because she wanted to get a ride from Kiely to stay at the party longer, but we know Kiely was leaving and she knew Kiely was leaving. So why did she want to stay at the party, 10, 15 minutes longer than her ride? And then she ended up leaving at 12:25 anyway. She ended up leaving before Kiely. But allegedly, Kiely was too drunk to take Sami home. But yet Sami left her there. Now, is that the sum total of the problem that we have with Sami? That she wasn't a very good friend? Or is this a whole complete lie? Can we confirm, can law enforcement confirm that Sami did leave at 12:25 and did get a call from Kiely later on?
Shani Jones wants to ask you, on your last call, did she let you know who the quote-unquote friend was that was driving her home?
Yeah, so this is a common misconception. She was not being driven home and she was not driving. So, okay, at the end of the party when I saw her, she was supposed to give me a ride home because I had asked her to give me a ride home because I wanted to stay later. I then realized later in the party that I believe she was drunk, and I knew she was drunk, and so I did not want her to be driving me home because I know about drunk drivers and all that. And so
Smart.
and I figured she would be staying there or she would find a ride home because she's a smart girl. She's smart enough to know, she's smart. And so, then I found her as I was leaving the party. I was making sure to find her to tell her that I had another ride home and that, I loved her and I wanted to say bye and for her to have fun at the party. And then when I left the party, we were pretty much on 89 with my ride. And she called me as I was in the car in the passenger seat, and she was like, "Hey, where are you? Do you still need a ride home?" And I was like, "No, I'm okay. Like, I'm in the car right now. I'm like getting driven home now." But Kiely did not have a set ride home, and I was under the impression that she would either sleep there or find another ride home. And it was not known that anybody was going to give her a ride home. She was not, when she called me, she was not in a car. I could hear the party and many people talking in the background.
I've got a real problem with that. I don't think Sami is telling the truth. I really don't. There's too much stumbling. You know, this part of the interview with All American Dream Chaser has been analysed to the nth degree, but I still keep going back to that minute or two of interview that really, really concerns me. She said the party was ongoing when Kiely was there, but Kiely rang her just a few minutes after she left, saying did she still need a ride home? What was all that about? Who was Kiely with? Was she with Elsa? What does Elsa know? Elsa says that she saw Kiely go into her car alone. Did someone offer to drive Kiely's car because they knew she was too drunk? And that's why we need to know who those other friends were. I hope that law enforcement knows who those other friends were. We're still in the dark. But I don't think Sammy's telling the truth. I can't pinpoint why Sami might not be telling the truth, other than she knows more. She knows who Kiely was with, possibly who Kiely might have left with, just the way that she and Jagger reacted when Adventures with Purpose found Kiely, and when the interview came out with Tow Truck Guy, Jagger saying that it was a false report and it was a lie, just really concerns me. So I go back to what I said yesterday. Was Jagger really at that party? Does Sami know that Jagger was at that party? Is Sami covering up for someone? If it's not Jagger, then someone else maybe. I don't know. So many questions. So many questions still outstanding. And we've got to wait until November. At least November the 1st. For any answers. So it begs the question, what does law enforcement know? What will be in this report? So many possibilities. I'm erring on the side of foul play simply because of a whole range of inconsistencies and problems with stories, with the controlling of the narrative early on, and now we know Kiely was in the hatch. We know Kiely was in Prosser Reservoir, but possibly a sighting of her, or at least her vehicle, on the Saturday morning. A whole lot of problems. Doesn't surprise me that Sami has got a criminal defence attorney at this point. But I'm going to call it a day for now. I'll see you very soon in the next video. It's goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. Bye, guys.